throw, swing.
There it is! There it is! Get out! Get out! All right!
Hit number 4192.
Swing out and miss. And Tom Browning has pitched a perfect game.
And a high fly ball, center field. He hit it a ton. It's gone. And the 2010 Central Division Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds. And Homer Bailey has pitched a no-hitter.
You're listening to the Redlegs Radio Report with Jason and Todd on Bowling Green's home of the Reds, ESPN Radio.
Welcome to the Redlegs Radio Report. My name is Jason Harbison, and you're listening here on ESPN 102.7 and also on ESPN1027.com. You can check out all of our last shows in podcast form on that website, and you can go back and listen to some of our great interviews. Last week, for instance, we had a really good one with Lenny Harris, former Red, now a coach for the minor league Daytona Tortugas, which is the high A baseball team for the Reds farm system. Lenny was a really great guy that we had on, and definitely go back and check out that show. Got a lot of good feedback on our Facebook page as well as our Twitter page. And by the way, our Twitter page is at Redlegs Radio Rep, and our Facebook page is Redlegs Radio Report. We got a really good show coming up today. A lot of guests playing back some really cool interviews that we have had here in the recent past. And Todd and I had a good time. We kind of got together and decided, who should we play this weekend? As far as, Reds had an up and down week this past week, especially with Cleveland. They took one of two. Coming up here on the All-Star game stretch that will be just around the corner. This past week, the first batch, if you will, of, the highest rated guys that got the most votes as far as the fans are concerned for all the positions for the All-Star game. It's done a little bit different this year as far as the voting. They basically take the top three of each one, and then they vote again on that, and then, of course, the coaches will pick. Right now, as it stands, the Reds don't have any position players in the top five, even, sometimes the top 10, depending on the position. So it's looking like now that maybe Castillo may be the only guy that gets the nod with the year that he's been having. Of course, this past week against Cleveland, didn't fare too well, although he had a really great game, and I should say the score didn't fare too well, but he had a really good game, wiggled off the hook a couple times, especially when he had bases loaded, one out, and he struck out the next two guys. Reds weren't getting a lot of offense for him that night, so it was just one of those deals where it came up on the short side of the stick, and it was a really, again, the one thing that has troubled the Reds so much this year, which are those low-scoring games, or they're one or two runs away from the lead, and they're not getting blown out in some of these games, and that's just what kind of separates the men from the boys and what really can't get the Reds over the hump. So anyway, as I said, we got a really good show this week. We're going to have Phil Castellini, who is the Reds COO, on a little bit later. We're going to also talk to Jonathan India and Tyler Stevenson, two highly touted prospects, as well as Nick Senzel. Nick Senzel, of course, is the guy that's came up really fast through the minors and was signed to the team. Didn't start out of the gate with the Reds, and some people argued that he should, but now he's with the Reds, and he's definitely tearing it up in that lead-off spot. Matter of fact, this past week on Wednesday, I believe, he had a leadoff home run, and he's just flat getting it done. And, I don't think the Reds could ask much more out of him, but hopefully he still has some good things coming his way. This past Reds Fest, we got to interview Jonathan India and Tyler Stevenson, and we'll listen to that interview right now.
Tyler Stevenson and Jonathan India. Please give it up for both of them. Yeah. So now, guys, Jonathan, I'll ask you first. Really, what does it mean to be like a highly touted, prospect? Does it weigh heavy on you? I've been asking a lot of these guys. We just had, Tyler Malley on. Does it weigh heavy on you? Is it tough? Just kind of, I don't want to say carrying that burden, but really, what does it mean to you?
I mean, not really. You're not supposed to, put any pressure on yourself as a baseball player. We've all been playing this game for a while, so we know how to play the game. We just go out there and have fun with the game and just do what we know how to do. So I don't try to put pressure on myself, being a top prospect, and I can speak for Tyler as well. I don't think he puts pressure on himself for that.
So go ahead. Same question really to you, Tyler. You don't really put.
No, it is what it is, and I mean you don't really look towards that. It's just a matter of fact playing a game every night, and you just kind of forget about that and just go out and play and hopefully get a win and stuff.
Jonathan, back to you. Do you have like a timeline that you have maybe a personal timeline, or I'm sure you'd love to play for the Reds tomorrow if they'd let you.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you have like a personal kind of goals for 2019? Like, hey, I'd like to be to this level. I'd like to be to that level. Obviously, coming out of college, you're a little bit farther advanced than maybe somebody that would be right out of high school. What are your personal kind of goals for this upcoming year?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go out there and play well every level I'm at. And if I just, do my thing and, play the way I could play, then hopefully, I'll get there sooner than later. But I try not to look that far. I just take it league by league and, just do what I can do at each league.
Tyler, I'd like to, for a little background, who was your favorite player growing up? And have you tried to mold your game after anybody else that was, a baseball hero of yours?
I wouldn't really say, people might not like this, but I'm from Atlanta, and growing up, I went to Braves games, and I got to see Chipper Jones a lot. And just as a childhood kid, just Atlanta guy, I was a big fan of him. But I don't really try to try to resemble anybody else. Just try to be myself and just be unique.
Tyler, we'll stay with you again. Are there really any goals that you have for 2019? And kind of maybe take us through your off season. What was it, kind of like we've had some of the old-timer guys on here before, and they've said, well, my off season, it was just pretty much, I didn't start getting back into the game until like January or something. But nowadays there's really no off season. Is that kind of how it is with you?
So our season ended mid-September, and I took about a month off, and then I've been working out and doing stuff since. I'm actually doing yoga twice a week with my mom, so that's actually pretty fun. And I just started kind of picking up a bat again and picking up a ball. So kind of take as much time as you can with those two things. But like working out, that's a big thing. Flexibility, especially with catching. So.
Okay, this question can be for both of you guys. What do you want for Christmas?
Hard-hitting questions here.
What do I want for Christmas?
People can start making their lists out right now if you start saying what you guys want.
I'll say just a good 2019 season.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
that
good.
Works.
Okay,
a good season.
Okay,
being healthy.
We're not going to get anything. We're not going to get any dirt out of them today, Todd. We tried. We tried. We tried, ladies and gentlemen. We were trying to get some dirt out of these guys. So, again, Jonathan, kind of back to you a little bit. What are some keys you think maybe if you were playing maybe Dick Williams or Nick Krall? And really we're going to ask you this too as well, Tyler. What are some of the keys that you think the Reds can be more successful? Because obviously the last couple of years they finished dead last, in the last 4 years in the Central Division. I know neither one of you are the GM, and I know that's not really in your pay grade, but what do you think maybe well-rounded, maybe not necessarily like what guy you need to go out and get or who you need to trade for, but what are some of the keys to, you think, having a successful Cincinnati Reds team? Heavy question for a guy coming up to the minors, isn't it?
I'm not, like you said, I'm not a GM or anything. It's hard. That's a hard question because I really can't make a decision. I'm just a player in the system. But coming from a winning program at Florida, we just played as a team. Team chemistry was a big thing with us. But I don't really know how their chemistry is in the big league team because I was not there. So team chemistry was a big thing for me.
Tyler, same question for you.
Just the desire of winning. Nobody likes losing. I don't think that's just a universal thing. So just going out, giving it your all every night, and just, for me, just a desire to win. Winning is fun. Everybody can agree. And just to go out every day, and especially just with a great group of guys like this, when I was down in Daytona, just a great group of guys, and just you're rooting for each other, and just have everybody kind of doing it as a family. So we hear it a lot. Just doing that every day, it's fun. It's a fun thing to do.
What was the feeling like? Kind of both of you take us back there, and Jonathan, I believe you were actually playing in the College World Series at the time when you found out that you were drafted. Regardless if it's the Reds, what is that feeling like when you found out that you were drafted by the Reds, that you would be playing Major League Baseball hopefully someday soon? just take us back and tell us a little bit about those emotions.
Yeah, that was an amazing feeling for me. You know, I was actually not in the World Series. We were playing I think it was a regional game against FAU, and it was, you know, we had to win one game and we were in Super Regionals, but we eventually lost. So then I had to play a game during the draft. So I didn't get to see the draft. I was playing while the draft was happening. But during the game, I heard fans, you know, congratulating me. And it was, you know, awesome experience. But I had to play, you know, keep playing the game. But yeah, no, it was amazing for me to experience that.
Just, it was a dream come true. I mean, you probably hear it from everybody, but just to hear a name called, and I was at home, and I was with a bunch of family and like high school buddies, and just I've still got the video of it, and it's something I'll never forget. Just the experience was unbelievable.
Either you guys or both of you can actually answer. Is there anything you would like to do to improve your game for the season coming up? Any particular area that you would like to improve on?
Any goals really for 2019, I guess, as far as your personal game?
For me, just to be more consistent in hitting, you know, like I usually was in college. So just go out there and have a good season and, you know, produce the way I could produce. But, you know, that's basically it.
I wouldn't really. I mean, yes, it is good to set goals and stuff, but there'll be times when you're not doing great, and there are times when you're doing great, and you kind of got to even it out and be consistent. But I don't want to put any extra pressure on myself. I think the big thing, my first 2 years I was hurt, and last year I was healthy. So I think the big thing for me is to just continue to be healthy in the next couple years and just continue to grow in those aspects of the game and just be out there play.
Jonathan, this is I believe this is your first Reds Fest, obviously. What do you think about all this pomp and circumstance here?
This is awesome, you know, just experiencing the atmosphere of Cincinnati and being around the fans is, you know, it's awesome to be here, and to be invited. So I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool experience, to say the least.
It is. It is cool.
Okay, now obviously this is a Reds Fest. We're going to both put you on the Reds hot seat. Thank you so much, sir. The Reds hot seat. These are some really tough, hard-hitting questions. Which one of you can do more push-ups?
Probably
him.
No, probably him. Cause
I weigh more.
Okay, okay. How about who would win an arm wrestling contest?
probably he's twice the size of me. So
Okay, twice the size of you. Okay, so who could hit a ball farther?
Probably him. He's bigger.
Okay. A lot of your answers, I noticed, keep going back to Tyler that, well, he's bigger, he's going to be able to do more of the arm wrestling stuff. Okay. Who would be able to name more songs, like if you heard just snippets of songs? Which one of you would be?
Him.
That's all Jonathan.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Yeah, I could try. Yeah.
Okay.
Movie quotes and songs and stuff, I'm the worst of all time.
Really? So you're good at movie quotes,
I'm
Jonathan?
pretty decent at movie quotes.
Okay, well, you're in luck because we just had Tyler Malley up here, and we were hitting him with some movie quotes and stuff. Do you have, like, a favorite movie or anything that you love to quote, like, you know, Anchorman or anything?
Yeah, I'm a big Will Ferrell guy, so I like Step Brothers, Anchorman.
Mm-hmm. So much room for activities, isn't that big?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big. So anything Will Ferrell related. So, but do you ever get outside of that? Any other movies, like a genre or anything? But you like?
I like action and adventure kind of guy, and comedy.
Okay. Good stuff.
That's it.
What music would you guys be listening to if you had, you know, if you didn't have to talk to two weirdos? What would you have on your iPod right now?
I'm a rap guy, I like hip hop.
Nice. How about you, Tyler?
Probably country.
Country.
Yeah.
Okay. You say that like it's a bad thing. Country
No,
music's great. You know,
music's
you're
good,
like
no.
you're afraid that Jonathan's going to reach over and hit you or something.
No.
for
No,
saying
I
that.
enjoy country music too. Not gonna lie. Just like rap.
Awesome. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for Tyler Stevenson and Jonathan India coming on the Redlegs Radio Report. Thank you so much, guys. Good luck. Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. This is Jason Harbison with a very special best of interview weekend on the Redlegs Radio Report. Thanks so much for tuning in on ESPN 102.7 and also ESPN1027.com. You can go back and listen to any of our old shows in the past week or two. Actually, any show that we've done all year long and the last couple of years, they're all up there. Again, last week we had Lenny Harris on. It was a really good interview. A lot of people said that it was some really good stuff on there. And Lenny, loved talking to all those old school guys. So our next guest is an interview that we had. Now, we've had this guy on the show many times,
And we usually get him around Reds Fest, or we get him on the Reds Caravan. Phil Castellini, who's the COO of the Reds, and he's a great guy, and he's very charismatic. If you ever hear him speak, and he's given he gives a speech a lot to businessmen, and those are always really cool to listen to him give. And every year we have in January the kickoff to the Reds Caravan. We have the Reds Radio Affiliate Days. He always gets up and speaks, and he gives usually it's like a schematic of what's going on for the upcoming baseball year. And of course he did this past year as well for 2019 upcoming. Around a lot of the things you'll hear him talk about in this interview as he talks about the 150 years, of course, of the Reds. He'll talk more about the uniforms that all the Reds are going to wear, and of course the inside joke that Todd and I have had with him for many years, and it's also in the front office, so it's okay to say this kind of thing, we're not speaking out of turn, is that anytime he sees a problem at Great American Ballpark, he fixes it by putting a bar in it. So anyway, here's the interview with Reds COO Phil Castellini.
This is a man that we have on the show every year. He was actually down in Bowling Green, Kentucky last year on the Reds Caravan. Please give it up for Phil Castellini, everyone. Please, yes.
Thank you. How are we doing in Bowling Green?
Things are going great in Bowling Green. We got a new football coach down there at Western Kentucky. So, I mean, we're happy. We're pleased as punch. Now, I will say this. I don't know if you noticed, Todd and I grew the beard, and a couple years ago, you had the beard.
I did. As a matter of fact, I had it a week ago on my Thanksgiving break. It was way too much gray in there for me to keep it. So I met the razor when I got back home.
Did your family have anything to do with that? Did they say that, maybe get rid of it?
Oh, I mean, it's one thing to look distinguished. It's another thing to look 15 years older than you are. So let's put it that way.
I think we know the feeling. We got a little bit of gray. But this is not about us. This is about Phil Castellini. Phil, of course, this year, 150 years of Reds baseball. I mean, you could probably go on and forever about that and what that means to the city of Cincinnati and how you guys are maybe making a tentpole event around this 150 years for baseball.
And it's the kind of thing that we've been talking about for a very long time because, you don't get to celebrate 150 years of many things, a business, a sport, and so we're honored to be here as stewards of this franchise during this monumental occasion, and we want to give it the weight it deserves. And so what we've effectively come up with, as you've heard me talk about or read about, is certainly we had to create the mark, the logo. That's what it all kind of builds around. It honors the Palace of the Fans facade, as you can see. And then, we went around and around about different ways to do it. And two primary things was we landed on the throwback uniforms being the best way to talk about chunks of history along the way and something that we could carry out throughout the whole season, right? Because it's difficult to celebrate something this big in one day or one homestand. But then you also have to have a big event, right? I'm a guy that likes to throw a party. So July 5th, we're going to have that party at Great American Ballpark, the open house. And the other thing it's going to do is come see the ballpark in a way maybe you've never seen it before, and that's part of the method to the madness. And, of course, we'll have some music and blow some stuff up. It is America's birthday weekend as well, so we're going to have a great fireworks show thanks to Rozzy at the end of that date.
You mentioned, of course, about the 15 different uniforms that the Reds will be wearing that are kind of an homage, if you will, to the teams of yesteryear. And I think they're on display on the other side.
Yeah, they're in our ticket booth over here. There's a couple here in this booth where we are. And, again, it's really cool to watch the evolution of the logo from the Gothic C through the different iterations of the wishbone. And, of course, we had some fun with the different color uniforms along the way that were used. And it's just going to be a great way that no matter when you come to a game at Great American throughout the homestand, you're going to get a little of the flavor of the history.
There's so much going on with that, as well as I believe there's like a new kind of statue pavilion or something that's I probably screwed that name up, but it's kind of honoring
it's the
that
1869 pavilion.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It'll be in the Rose Garden, which has been behind a fence and really not open to the public. And so we're doing a major renovation of the Hall of Fame as well. And so outside of the Hall of Fame, we're doing that 1869 pavilion in the form of a gazebo that has a crown on it that ties to the Queen City heritage, but has the bronze relief of the starting 9 guys that created the 1869 team. And we will be ribbon cutting, dedicating that 1869 pavilion on the date of Saturday, May 4th, which coincides with the first game ever played by that 1869 Red Stockings team. And we're at home that day, and we'll unveil that to the public, and that'll be the first of the 15 throwback unis as well.
So it's safe to say that you guys have really thought long and hard about a lot of these things, especially like you said, going back to that original date. A lot of care, a lot of basically marketing has kind of gone behind it. Is there anything else that we can expect to see throughout the stadium?
Well, if you during All-Star, you might remember the mustache benches that we had all over, and that was part of trying to get that All-Star experience to get spread around town, around Reds country, outside of the ballpark. And we've got that same theme. So we'll have a bench that's got Mr. Redlegs on it, sitting on a bench modeled after the Crosley Field dugout benches. And he will be in each of the 15 different uniforms, and then those benches will be all over town. And a lot of fans had a lot of fun, kind of scavenger hunting around town to find them and doing a lot of social media photo ops with those. And so that should be a lot of fun. And we'll roll that out kind of just after opening day through up into that May date. And so that'll be a way to get the party started in April.
It's kind of a running joke, and we bring it up every year, but how many bars are you putting in Great American Ballpark? Because that's
Let
kind
the
of a fun
record
office
show
joke.
it's been 29 since 2006. Matter of fact, there'll be a new one that's kind of tucked away a little bit as part of the Hall of Fame renovation, so technically we can say it's a 30th. And so, it's what we do. Mm-hmm. We listen to the fans. We give the fans what they want. And that's certainly part of what we've been doing is creating new and interesting, non-traditional ways to see the game. So we're squeaking one more in this year in the form of the Hall of Fame.
I don't think anyone could accuse you or really your team, Karen Forgas, anyone like that, of you guys just kind of resting on your laurels, especially. And forget about that being 150 years for the Reds. I'm pretty sure you guys would have so many things that you're working on for this year if it wasn't,
Wait till you see what we do at 200, baby.
That's right.
We're all going to be flying cars to the ballpark.
I yearn for that day. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Phil Castellini right here on the Redlegs Radio Report, Bowling Green, Kentucky. Phil,
thanks guys. Go Redlegs.
Up next is a guy that's been having a phenomenal season, especially on the mound for the Reds, and he's part of that resurgence of the starting pitching that the Reds really had problems with last year and was really abysmal, but he's helped turn around not just the starting pitching, but also just the overall pitching for the Reds. Anthony DeSclafani, better known as Disco.
We are the Redlegs Radio Report. Jason Harbison, Todd Smith from ESPNKY.com and also 102.7 FM, 1450 AM, Bowling Green, Kentucky. Coming to the stage right now, his nickname is Disco, but you know him as Anthony DeSclafani. Anthony, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. So my daughter, who's 12 years old, I know this is your interview, but she would say that her favorite band is Panic at the DeSclafani.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that kind of a talk a little bit about your nickname there, and how is it just because people can't pronounce DeSclafani, they just say Disco? Is that kind of, or did it come maybe through the minors or when you're growing up, or how did that happen?
Oh yeah. My last name's definitely tough to pronounce. So I got it when I was in college at the University of Florida. I was a freshman, and there was another player on the team already. His name was Tony Davis, and they called him TD or Tone or T, and that's usually what I get called back home. So I had a senior at the time. He's like, "You're not getting called any of those, so your name's going to be Disco," because no one could pronounce it. And it's just stuck with me, I guess, in the baseball world, because back home, no one calls me Disco at all. So, yeah, through the minor leagues and or just really professional baseball itself, I think it's so easy to kind of remember, and I don't think there's anyone else named Disco, right? So,
growing up as a kid, who was your favorite pitcher? Or did you have a guy you kind of modeled your, kind of like to throw like him, or who was your favorite pitcher growing up?
I guess just growing up a Yankee fan, I always liked Mariano Rivera. It's just I feel like he just had a really cool, calm mentality about him when he was on the mound. There wasn't really a lot of emotion from him, but he just got the job done every single time. And obviously, whenever they knew he was coming in the game, it was game over.
We just had Scott Schebler on, and I'll kind of ask you this same question, Anthony. Let's boil it down to this. The Reds finished dead last the last 4 years. How much does that weigh on you as a player, maybe the overall team, especially a pitcher who kind of can decide an outcome of a game? What does that weigh heavy on you? And obviously, no one wants to finish dead last every year. So what are any of the steps that maybe you are taking personally or team goals for 2019?
Yeah, there's always going to be personal goals, things that you got to get better at, every year. Yeah, it's definitely been a tough, 4 years. I was here, when they started tearing the team down and stuff, and, I want to be here for the future of it. And year to year, things can change. We're going to add, I'm sure there's going to be a few players added. We got fresh new faces for the staff. And things can change real quick. I mean, you can look at the Brewers, how great they did this year. And the Braves and stuff like that. And I think we got a lot of really good pieces here that are going to continue to get better, and there's no reason why we can't be a playoff team.
Anthony, during one of your starts, is there a particular, if you pitch a 7-inning game, is there a particular set of innings, like maybe the 3rd, 4th, 5th, where you start feeling better, or are you pretty much even keel all through those 7 innings?
I mean, that just varies game to game. I mean, I've had games where I felt really good and I got my butt kicked in, and there's games where I'm like, I'm gonna get killed today, and I somehow get through 7 innings, and I don't know how. It's different every day. There's just the mentality of it is to always stick to your game plan, and things happen during a game that can change the outcome. Some games, I'll have line drives hit right at people, and you get away with 2 or 3 outs maybe, and that gets you out of a tough inning or gets you through an inning. And some days that doesn't happen. There could be a ground ball, a foot closer to an infielder that gets you an out. It just changes. And I've had games where first inning's not good, and then something clicks. I talk to the coach in between innings, and I fix something mechanically, and I'm good for the rest of the game.
You talked to Anthony about how they've kind of been tearing the team down when you started, and of course there's going to be a lot of fresh new faces, especially the coaching staff this year. How does that affect you? Do you think you obviously understand that baseball is a business, and I'm sure you've had friends that have been traded away, maybe even news this week of what happened with Billy Hamilton. How does that weigh on your shoulders? I mean, is it hard to separate your head from your heart when you're out there? Basically sharing time with your brothers, if you want to be so bold as to say that, on a baseball team.
Yeah, it's tough to lose guys. I mean, I've been traded twice. I started off as a Blue Jay and was with the Blue Jays for a year, and then became a Marlin. Been with the Reds now. This is going to be my 5th year. But that's just part of the business. I'm sure Billy's going to have a great career somewhere else, obviously, and it's just part of it. And I'm sure there's going to be some things coming up here in the few weeks that, everyone's going to be shocked at as well.
Anthony, when whether it's a catcher or a manager or a coach coming out, what's the funniest thing that someone said to you with a mound visit? Whether it's a catcher coming out, anything funny come into mind?
I mean, I've pro career or
it doesn't matter.
Either one.
Yeah.
I've just been asked nothing too funny, but just ask me what are you doing for dinner tonight? What are your plans later on? And then you kind of scratch your head, but then it's more just to get you relaxed and don't press so much. Just go out and have fun and pitch a game.
So do you actually answer the pitching coach, or do you say, Get out of here.
Just like a laugh. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you don't answer him like, I'm going to Culver's tonight. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's just like a laugh.
So do you think that, I know we have been talking to some of the people that are in charge of marketing for the Reds. Do you ever think there could be like a disco night or something, like maybe the Reds, they have all these 15 different uniforms you guys are going to be wearing this year. Maybe a bell bottom or something, from the disco era, anything like that you'd like to get behind?
Do the fans want that? What do you think?
Yeah. See, there they go. But I'm saying is you could theme it around a disco night. I mean, would that be something that you'd be all about, or do you think that's a dumb idea?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I'd be all in for that.
I don't work for the Reds. It's okay. I just do radio show.
I'd be interested to see what that consisted of, for sure.
So you've really been embracing your nickname, even way back when, like you said, the whole disco thing, even though it's for Disco Fani. People make the assumption, disco, 1970s, the big disco ball. Maybe that's a bobblehead in the future, too. You got a disco ball or something.
Yeah, maybe.
There.
That'd be pretty cool.
Okay,
That'd
so you'd be all about
Absolutely,
that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Well, just remember us if they ever come around to you in the clubhouse and say that the guys from Bowling Green, Kentucky, ESPN Radio, put that idea in your head. So I don't know if there's any residual checks that we should be getting on this. Okay, the fans are saying yes. So Just remember us. So we'll see you throughout the season. And Anthony, we wish you so much luck in 2019 and beyond. So thanks so much for coming on the show today. Anthony DiSclafani, everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. My name is Jason Harbison on this very special Best of weekend on the Redlegs Radio Report. We've been playing back some of our great interviews with Phil Castellini, Anthony DiSclafani, otherwise known as Disco, Jonathan India, and Tyler Stevenson. We're getting ready for another one here with Nick Senzel. But if you are liking any of these interviews, you can go back and listen to pretty much any interview that we've ever had the past couple of years. We've only had about the last 3 years up on podcast form, but we've been doing the show for 8 years. And if you have any requests, just reach out to us via social media at Redlegs Radio Rep or Redlegs Radio Report. Over the years, we've been fortunate enough to interview the likes of George Foster. I keep bringing up Lenny Harris last week because it was such a great one. Gary Reedus that we've had on, Chris Welsh, C. Trent Rosecrans, Tommy Thrall, all of the Brennemans, you name it. Amanda Brenneman was on a couple weeks ago with us talking, of course, about the Night of Their Own, which is a special ladies' night that the Reds have every year. Marty, of course, in his last year, we have lots of great stories about him. We also hope to get him on in the coming weeks, and Cowboy will be coming on with us in the coming weeks as well. But like I said, I always love talking to some of those old players and just getting their takes on things. We've got a lot of interviews with Tom Browning over the years. He's actually been in studio with us here in the ESPN studios, so that's always fun. So check those out on ESPN1027.com for any of our past shows. Just kind of reacclimate yourself with some of those past great interviews. We were fortunate enough to interview Nick Senzel this past Reds Fest, Todd and I. Didn't know at the time if he was going to make the team or not coming out of spring training. Again, as I said at the top of the hour, there was a lot of hubbub, if you will, that a lot of the fans said, he should start here, he should start there. He hasn't had very much time in center field. He's not going to be able to cover that much ground. Is he the answer to the offense? And, at the time, there wasn't really any use for him because there was kind of a log jam in the outfield. And it was just one of those deals where I think you need a little time down in the minor leagues just to kind of mature a little bit. But once they brought him up, he really kind of caught on fire. I won't say that he had the numbers like Jay Bruce did right out of the gate, but he's definitely consistent. And like I said, Todd and I were very fortunate and really enjoyed talking to him. And now kind of listening back to this interview, it kind of makes a lot more sense of just how grounded and how humble he really is.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. Todd Smith, Jason Harbison. You can find us on Twitter at Redlegs Radio Rep, and we are online, ESPNKY.com. We are from Bowling Green, Kentucky, just a short 3 hours down the road. Oh, Kentucky? You got thumbs down?
Tennessee.
There? Oh, Tennessee. Okay, Tennessee. Well, the man that was just on the mic there, we'll get into that in a minute about the Tennessee-Kentucky thing. Nick Senzel. Nick, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, I'm doing good.
Good. So, Tennessee, obviously, yeah. UK, big rivals, so I don't think that's...
They just built a new baseball stadium, I heard it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Tennessee hasn't, so.
Okay, so do you... We'll get to the real hard-hitting questions later. Let's talk about this a little more. Do you follow like Tennessee football or anything like that? You a big football fan as well? Because right now
I'm actually not I follow Tennessee, but I grew up watching the Irish, Notre Dame.
Oh,
My
Notre
dad's
Dame.
from Chicago. He grew up watching Notre Dame, so I grew up a diehard Notre Dame fan. So that's what we watch on Saturdays is the Irish.
You're probably pretty happy this time of year, especially since they're in the Final Four. Whatever.
I usually get crushed every single year, but I'm super happy about this year. So they may crush me again, but I'm happy as of this point.
2019. What are some of your goals?
Well, I hope to break camp with the big league team out of spring training.
You're getting some applause on that. Yeah. There we go.
That's a big goal of mine. I know everyone out here wants to see me up there, and I want to be up there. So that's the main thing. Break camp, win some games, and everyone's happy.
Injury-wise, how's it going for you? I mean, you're rehabbing fine, or
it took me 3 months recovery from my finger, which I was out the rest of the year. played 44 games and broke my finger, and then there was 3-month recovery. And then 6 weeks ago, I had elbow surgery. It was bothering me for a while, and that I'm about probably, I'd say, 90%. I get start baseball activity in the next week or so, and then I get to hit by the end of the month. I'll go out to Arizona here in about a week or two. I live out there, so I'll go out there and start getting going early.
Speaking of coming up to the big team, there's there's a lot going on in the off season, spots opening up here and there. Is there a position that you would rather play, or one that you've played more and you feel more comfortable at, or are you pretty much comfortable anywhere?
That's a great question. I mean, I've kind of been thrown every which way, the past year or so. So I don't really know. My home is third base, but we got a great third baseman right now. We got a great infield. We got great players. So, wherever they need me, I mean, is where I'll play. I've worked a little bit in the outfield in instructional league for a little bit before I had elbow surgery. I felt pretty comfortable out there, and just keep working to get better at each position, and wherever they need to slide me in, that's where I'll be.
Baseball players are a superstitious bunch, Nick. Do you have any pregame rituals? We're trying to get to the meat of this. We haven't gotten a lot from some of your teammates, but anything that you do, maybe, old pair of sweat socks, never change your wristband, I don't know, maybe you got to eat a pregame same meal, anything like that, any kind of superstitions that you have?
I don't believe in any of that.
Okay.
I don't do anything.
Okay.
I'm just more worried about going out there and playing.
Nice.
Not sucking.
Try not to suck, I guess, is basically the theme of that. I guess you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with that. So, what would be on your? We'll switch back to some goofball questions. What would be on your iPod? What would be some music that you listen to? What would be your song of your music of choice?
You want to know what's kind of embarrassing? Who I've been listening to lately is Ed Sheeran. He's actually really good.
Okay.
But I've listened to him lately. During the season, I don't know, just a bunch of rap, hip hop, try to get me pumped up, locked in for the game. You know how it is. Just try to stay locked in.
Ed Sheeran's actually a pretty good guitar player. So I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah, he's
wrong.
really good.
He's really good.
If you haven't heard him,
yeah,
you should listen to him. Great.
Yeah. Go ahead, Todd. I don't know how you follow that up, the Ed Sheeran question, but go ahead.
Well, the standard. Who was your favorite team and your favorite player growing up as a kid?
Well, I grew up. I was born in Atlanta. I grew up watching the Braves. I love a lot of family in Atlanta. I honestly thought I was going to get drafted by the Braves, but I went to Reds. It's a lot better. So
that's good.
Yeah, I grew up watching them. We've got family there. So,
what would you be doing if you weren't playing baseball?
I went to school. I studied psychology. I wanted to be a drug and alcohol abuse counselor. I was really into that, so I'd probably be a counselor.
Nice. Could you counsel us? I mean, what would
you guys got any problems?
Yes, we do. Let's turn the show back around.
You guys have a lot of problems.
I know.
We'll take it in the back.
Yeah, there's a couch back there. He's not joking. We can maybe lay on the couch and Nick can tell us. Because really, people want to turn the show back around on two dumb radio weirdos and not keep it up here with Nick Senzel at all on this. Okay, so let's keep on this kind of line of question here because we're really getting deep into this here, Nick. Favorite cartoon growing up as a kid?
I like Garfield, and there's only one reason why I like Garfield is because my dad has a Garfield tattooed on his calf. So if you know my dad and you ever see him, ask him to see his tattoo of Garfield on his calf.
Is he here today?
He'll be. He should be in the building. I don't know. He'll be here.
Okay, if he comes here...
He's a big, giant teddy bear. If you ever see him.
All right.
He'll come talk to you. He's a very personable guy.
Okay, so we'll bring him up on stage and have him show his Garfield tattoo.
Yeah, you should, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead, Todd.
What do you want for Christmas?
A World Series for the Reds.
There we go. Yeah.
Great answer, answer.
I love how you pander to the crowd. That's great. That's
good stuff.
That's awesome stuff here. Okay, so superhero. Do you have a favorite superhero? We're getting really deep in these questions, Nick. I know. Or if you could relate to a superhero,
I really like Spider-Man, and I really like the new Spider-Man they got, the young dude. I've been in the Spider-Man, but if I had to be one, I'd be Spider-Man.
Okay, because you can walk up walls, kind of a younger guy, athletic.
I feel like girls would like me. Girls would like any superhero, but Spider-Man.
Okay. All right. So not only Todd asked about what you wanted for Christmas, what are your Christmas plans? What do things look like? Is it kind of a wacky thing? You got a big family? Are people showing off Garfield tattoos all the time or what?
No, none of that. We keep our clothes on. No, but I spent Thanksgiving with my family, and then I'm going to go back to Arizona. I have a house in Arizona, so I'll go back there to get into some warmer weather to start some baseball activity. I already talked to my family. I won't be at home for Christmas, so I don't really know the in-depth plans, what I'm going to be doing. But I'm going to be in Arizona, and I was able to spend some time with my family because I know I won't see them for a while. So I don't have really any plans.
Is that tough being away from your family that long, especially throughout this season?
Well, yeah, it was tough too because I was going through. I started in Louisville, and obviously I was off spring training. Then Louisville, you don't get to see your family, and I'm very close with my dad and my sister, and then I'm in Louisville. Then I get hurt. Then I'm every which way. I get surgery in New York. Then I go to doing physical therapy in Arizona. I don't get to see my sister very much at all, and then I see my dad a little bit. Now I live in Arizona, and it's just nice to come home to spend some time with them before I head back off and don't see them for a while.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Nick, I'm so happy for you, and we wish you the best success. And I'm sure you're happy to get off the stage so we can stop asking you weird questions as well.
This was fun. This was my best interview.
Okay, well, there you heard it here first, folks. Not only is Nick Senzel calling a World Series victory for the Reds in 2019, he's also saying this is the best radio show he's been on yet today. It's probably also the only one he's been on. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Senzel.
Thanks.
Our last interview today is kind of an oldie but a goodie. Ted Power, of course, pitched for the Reds during the 80s. It was just one of those powerhouse pitchers, just like his last name would say. And although he's moved on from being a bullpen and pitching coach for the Reds, I just thought it was very poignant, this interview that we had with him a couple years ago.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. My name is Jason Harbison. Todd Smith. We are from Bowling Green, Kentucky, 102.7 FM, 1450 AM. Coming to the stage right now, you know him, you love him. He is the assistant pitching coach, Ted Power. Ted, how are things going today for you at Reds Fest?
Things are going good. I see a lot of familiar faces out here. We were just over here earlier with the fantasy camp group, so it was good to see them all again and see most of them back this year, hopefully a lot of them. So it's nice, and a few fans here that I'm familiar with, so that's fun.
You don't owe any of them money, do you?
No.
Okay,
no,
good.
All my debts are paid.
Good. I guess really kind of an easy question. Was it tough for you making the transition from Louisville kind of near the tail end of the season up to the major leagues?
No, it really wasn't tough at all. A lot of the guys that were here on the pitching staff had come through Louisville, and even the ones that hadn't, I've been to early spring training with the pitchers and catchers last year at the major league level, so I feel like I know them pretty well too. And no, it was a very easy transition. It was a little weird being back in the major leagues after my last time, which was 1993. Things have changed a little bit.
Well, that's a good kind of foray into our next kind of segment here. You could probably go on for about another 2 hours about how things have changed since then. What are some of the big kind of overarching things that you've seen that have changed since you played to kind of nowadays? I'm sure you go on for 4 hours probably.
Well, I guess one of the biggest things that I noticed right away was when we were going to these other teams and playing on the road, the clubhouse guys wouldn't let me do anything for myself. I mean, even if I was just trying to wipe off my tennis shoes because I got mud on them during batting practice, it was no, give them to me. I'll clean them. And I'm 61 years old. I can clean my own shoes. No, what are you trying to make me lose my job? Give me the blankety blank shoes. And I said, okay, here, take them. Do everything for me. It's back when I played, they did pretty much everything for you, but now they do everything for you.
Ted, what is the hardest pitch to teach a pitcher that's, we have a lot of young guys coming up that, are trying to add pitches and things like that. What's the most difficult pitch to teach?
Well, I think one of the hardest pitches to teach would probably be the split finger fastball, because everybody has different length of fingers. Number one, it's comfortable to some guys to put it between their fingers and throw it, and it's just an abnormal feeling of holding the ball. And a lot of guys can't get it, but there's so many other pitches to pick from. You know, if you're looking for something off speed, go to a changeup, go to a cut fastball. There's a lot of easier grips than that split finger fastball.
Other than having to not clean your own shoes off, has there been like a major change from your days as far as like the pitchers, whether it's like the size of them or maybe their mechanics? Have you seen a major change there?
Yeah, everybody throws 95 to 100. I mean, the hardest I ever threw when I pitched was 96, and I think I only did it 4 or 5 times, and at the rest of the time it was mid to low 90s, and I was one of the harder throwers in the league. Now, I mean, I guess the human being is just getting bigger and stronger every year, but yeah, everybody throws 95 miles an hour. It's either that or the radar guns are fixed.
Ted, which of the new guys, or I say new, but I mean, you know, they're fairly new to the organization, and which one are you highest on coming into this next season?
Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a guy that's new to the organization, but maybe a guy that's coming up from AA to AAA and you know, was a recent sign or something like that. I'm looking forward to see what kind of spring training Amir Garrett has this year, because I think for the last 3 years he's been pitcher of the organization. I mean, the guy is just getting it done at every level. So I want to see what kind of spring training he has, and I know that he's made the bold comment that he's gonna win a spot this year on the staff, and I'd love to see him do it, because I think he's got what it takes up here and in his heart to be a real competitor.
Well, they're giving us the wrap-up sign. Ted, I'd love to talk to you for the rest of the day because I always just love getting your perspective on things. But thank you so much for coming on the Redlegs Radio Report with us today. We wish you continued success in 2017 with the Reds.
My pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Ted Power, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Ted.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.